Can I start by asking you a bit more about this news that a vaccine trial is said to start? What type of vaccine is it? How do we expect it to break down this new virus?
Well, good morning. It's part of the coronavirus that is used to get into infect cells is expressed by a vector that has been made by the people working on this vaccine, and that is used to induce strong immune responses in people who are vaccinated, and in fact, it's hoped that the vaccine itself may induce stronger immune responses than the infection itself, which is known to be not a very immunogenic virus. In other words, the length of time that one might have immunity from secondary infections might be quite short from natural infection.
Indeed, there's a lot still we don't know about how this virus impacts our immune system. It sounds like, it seems to target the lungs, but it almost seems to hide out, if you like, for a long period. We're now 3.5 months, a little bit more into the first sighting or record of this new virus. What have you learned since then, or over the last couple of weeks, as to how this particular virus is different from others and how it attacks our immune system?
Well, you're right. It is a very interesting virus from a scientific perspective, and it is different from any virus that we've seen before. Obviously, there are some clues. What we want to know is what sort of immune responses are most successful in protecting against disease from the virus. And there are some clues that have come up. One of the ones you mentioned at the beginning is the difference in mortality between the sexes. Obviously, another clue is age. Older people are much more likely to suffer disease. And pre-existing health conditions like heart disease, diabetes, and so on are risk factors. So these are clues that are giving us some idea of what the immune responses are that are going to be successful. But obviously there are a lot of studies underway to getting much more detail underneath those basic facts that are coming out.
Can you break it down for me a little bit more? I mean, while on some levels I can understand some of the explanations, if we already have other illnesses, how our immune systems would be weaker. But when it comes to men and women, that all comes down to the X chromosome. Explain a bit more why it appears that women might be doing better. And is that something that women in general have a better immune system, or is it specific to COVID-19?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly the case that females make stronger and more effective responses throughout life to vaccines and infections in general. And in part, it's because of the immune genes that are expressed at higher levels, and some of these are on the X chromosome. And it's not always the case that just because a gene's on the X chromosome that it is expressed at high levels in females. But in the case, the particular innate immune gene that senses coronavirus, that is on the X chromosome, and that is expressed at higher levels in females. So the innate immune response that actually is the first line of defense against a virus like coronavirus is much stronger in females. And that initiates the array of immune responses that are brought out against these viruses. So that is one of the main factors. That obviously, sex hormones is another important factor here. The female sex hormones, estrogen, progesterone, are inflammatory, pro-inflammatory, and help the immune system become active, whereas testosterone is an anti-inflammatory hormone.
Okay, fascinating to see how those can maybe fight against this new virus. But very briefly, I've also read that having too strong an immune system, it could also be actually dangerous when it comes to this new virus.
Well, that's absolutely true, and it's a very fine line for the immune response or immune system to tread between causing damage through an overexuberant immune response, and females do have much more autoimmune disease and disease caused by an overexuberant immune response than males. So that's one of the trade-offs, if you like, of having a stronger immune response. In general, females fare better from vaccines and infections, but there is always the risk in certain situations and against certain pathogens that the response will be overexuberant and will itself cause disease.